Welcome to the Greenway Outdoors podcast. The Greenway Outdoors is also an internationally syndicated TV show on Pursuit Channel and Wild TV. You are now tuned into our weekly podcast hosted by executive producer Kyle Green, production coordinator Jeff Hutchinson, director AJ Beadle, and creative producer Ryan Parks. We live in a world where our natural resources are almost solely protected by funds raised by hunters and fishermen. With over 60% of those funds coming from white males over the age of 55, the Greenway Outdoors team has set out on a mission to create content that would inspire millennials, Generation Z, and new sportsmen and women to get out, hunt, fish, and contribute towards conservation and the betterment of our planet. Welcome to the Greenway Outdoors. Hello and welcome to episode 27 of the Greenway Outdoors podcast. I'm Kyle.
I'm Jeff.
I'm Ryan.
There's no AJ.
There's no AJ. I'm fixing my headphones.
Rest in
I put them
peace.
on wrong.
Oh.
But
No, AJ just couldn't be here today. He's on a vacation.
To be clear, AJ's not dead.
R.I.P.
He is not deceased. Did you guys see I'm wearing the brand new E apparel
It released today.
Granger Smith hat? It released today. How am I wearing it? Huh. I don't know. Maybe because we went to the concert. We'll be talking about that in a little bit. But first, we're going to talk about our rabbit episode that we're going to be airing this week. So you may have seen it Tuesday morning, or you may be seeing it Thursday night. But let's go ahead and roll that sizzle. Okay, so I thought that was the coolest sizzle reel we've put together. The coolest. I loved it. I liked it. I thought the music was cool. I was so proud of it. I text the guys. I go, hey, check out this sizzle reel I put together. I was so excited to tell you guys about it. And then all you guys did was lambaste the music.
I didn't understand why you would pick. I mean, I get that it's a little more upbeat and like exciting. The pacing is different, but it just, that music doesn't scream hunting to me. It screams like I don't know what
You called it K-pop the other day?
Yep. Yeah.
It seems like the intro to like a children's Disney cartoon, like for extra little kids.
Yeah.
They have.
Hi, kids.
Yeah, something like that.
Hey, guys.
Shut up.
Our goal is to get kids into hunting, so that's what I did.
I liked this. I thought it was popping, and it worked really well for the transitions. I like your shirt, Ryan. That's the new.
Thank you.
New shirt
We're
that you
going
just
to
got
dinner
in.
later, so.
Ooh, who's we?
My family.
Oh.
Because it's my dad's birthday.
I know. I wrote happy birthday to him.
You're not coming?
Oh.
Oh.
Jeffrey gets to go?
Yeah, he said family's going.
I wrote on your dad's Facebook happy birthday, and he didn't say anything back, but your mom loved it.
Yeah, you'll never get a response on that.
He messages me randomly.
No. You'll get a response in about a month.
Yeah,
When he
when he
logs in.
checks it, and it will be like a private message in no context to what it is.
Thanks.
He doesn't really know how to use it yet.
Thanks what?
So the episode this week is Rabbit. We're in the Thelma, Michigan. And the thing that I like about this episode the most is the fact that it has a storyline for each and every individual rabbit, and the overall episode has a storyline, which I've never seen in any rabbit hunt or any rabbit hunting episode or any YouTube video. Because, I mean, let's face it, no other hunting shows really do rabbit episodes like we do.
Yeah.
I mean, Steve Rinella did one. But you don't get the same kind of story as we put together. That's what I'm excited
It's easy to lose track
about.
of that because it's so hectic. There's so much going on. How do you put that together to make a,
Well, apparently you put it together really well, but if you try and put a sizzle reel together with good music, you just get lambasted by your friends.
You were right. That was really popping. It's K-pop.
It's just, it does, like Jeff said, it doesn't scream hunting.
Yeah.
And you think it's the best one we've made. I don't agree. I think there's been better ones.
Yeah.
Well,
I would fully agree with that.
the episode itself, however,
The episode's awesome.
yeah, the episode's pretty cool.
Yeah.
The action that's in it's awesome, but again, I think the storyline that's there and is the legit one, as many people know and can tell by watching us, we don't script anything. So it was just cool to see the storyline of each individual rabbit there, pieced together and done well. None of it being staged, all of it being legit. And then getting a few of them on camera, because those suckers, they're so fast. And they blend into everything, especially in the camera. Like, there's some, like one of the kill shots I shoot, and you definitely see, because there's moisture all over the, I don't know, the reeds or like the tall
Heather.
brown grass.
Yeah.
And you see the impact of the shot hit that like a blur almost because of the water droplets that you hit.
Is it the first one?
No, that one's pretty close. I hope you like that. That's about as good as it gets.
Yeah.
The first one. But that one in there, when it hit, like you plainly see where the shot went, but you don't see the rabbit at all.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And it's like, well, how's that happen?
I was worried because on most of our big, we have at least one good rabbit hunt every year, and usually there's snow, so you can see them better. They film better. There was no snow, and they blend right in. You can't even see them. You can't see them when you're hunting them. How the heck are you supposed to get them on camera?
The beginning of the show, we said too when we were in the car talking, I was like, the perfect rabbit hunting day is a random warm day that's very sunny and has snow on the ground. I go, it's the first cold day we've had in a while. It is no snow anywhere except for in some of the ditches and random in the woods, but not much snow at all.
Yeah, and no sun.
It was overcast. So
We still made it work.
We did well. We did. We got our limits, and we got a. I just think it's a good episode. Like the storyline, and there's a lot of humor in it too. That again is all pretty.
Yeah,
legit.
I was in that one. So
that's why it was funny.
We had a lot of fun editing too.
Yeah, right.
I've never wanted to kill myself editing.
When we edited it the first time, and we didn't discover this, so we do all the proofing. I've got a 70-inch TV at my house that we plug into for the proofing part, because you want to see what it looks like on a TV. You do it on all the Macs and iMacs and all that stuff, and then you move it to there for the final proofing. The problem is, on the Macs and on my TV, echoes don't really show up much, if at all. So the problem was we rolled through the whole thing, exported it. The episode's 27 gigs.
Yeah.
We export it, send it to the network, everything like that, then upload it to a private YouTube link, just so we have it stored somewhere, so if we need to show something to somebody quick, we can. But we don't post the full episodes on YouTube itself to people. But anyhow, we look at it on there, and on the cell phone, it's clear as day. There's two bad echoes, and I was like, no.
Anytime that's happened when I'm going through doing captions, because I don't see anything. All I can hear everyone talking, and then I'm typing it out. So you hear that, and I'm like, how in the world did they miss that?
Yeah.
Good God.
We listened to it again on the TV after we discovered it on the phones, and
still couldn't hear it.
Sounded fine.
Yes.
And then you're editing blind, because then we already had it all transferred over to the portable Mac that we plug into the TV. So now that's the one we're working on, because we are not about to transfer all the files back, and then Ryan editing the sound on an exported file apparently is harder.
Yeah, it was, without getting too technical, it was one of the most difficult audio things I've ever done as far as editing goes, because I had to take the final project, which means I can't move the sound around anymore because it's just one big bar, one timeline.
It's been grouped together.
Yeah, it's been grouped together. So I had to cut out the audio, re-find all the old audio, put that back in, then line it back up with the old one. I can't explain.
Make sure it works with the lips.
We record on external mics, so what happens is a lot of times when you do the lapel mics, we do it to its own SD card. And the reason why we do that is because we used to use the mics that would attach to cameras, and it would send a frequency to the camera, and it was a lapel mic that way that would record sound to the camera. The problem is, in remote areas or non-remote areas, or even worse, you could get interference. And if you got interference, then you don't have the sound from what happened.
Yeah.
And in a show that's a reality show where we're talking, you lose.
Yeah.
That's it. You can't use that at all now. It was happening too frequent, so then we went to this route. The problem with this one is now you have the sound for each individual person in its own clip. So me, you, Ray. So there's 3 sound separations right there. Then with those, you also want to use some of the actual camera sound that it picked up, because like when you're walking through the brush, you want like the
leaves and the.
Because if you don't, you'll end up having like this awkward like silence around you while you're talking, because the lapel mic doesn't pick up those things.
But then you do get a little bit of it, but just a little bit, and then none, and then some, and then none. It's like
I spent a lot of time afterwards when I was fixing it making a lot of artificial noise. Mm-hmm. So like I would take little tiny snippets here and there of the camera audio where you could hear the leaves crunching and like molding that together to make the footsteps work.
Yeah. Of one, so a 4-second clip, making it into a 22-second clip in order to fill the thing, but not making it sound like it's just going like the same 4 seconds, because people will detect that.
And then that takes away from the story. Then all of a sudden you're out of, because you want to be immersed in it.
Right.
And as soon as there's something weird that's not natural, it's like, I'm watching a TV show. It's not
Right. Yeah. I mean, and for like the one person who just shows up for filming and cooking, like I could see why you would think that. No, I'm just kidding. But in front of Ryan, you say this. But yeah,
and in front of AJ, I'm sure he's listening.
Yeah.
Hi, AJ.
Hi. He's not listening.
He's not listening.
He's on a beach in Tahiti.
Yeah.
So anyhow, I thought it was cool how it ended up coming together. So now it's all fixed and the final product's good and you'll love it. But the little things that go into video editing, it's not as simple as just recording and then the sound is good and then you just piece it together and then you send it on the way. Between the storyline, the preparation that goes into, which you've heard us play in episodes before, all of that into making something that happened real. Because the other thing is, we could stage everything and have somebody with a boom mic and then just be good to go all the time and it would always be perfect. The problem is it wouldn't be real, and I think our audience likes us because we're real.
Yeah.
Well, you couldn't do that with a hunting show, because what are you going to have a rabbit in a box and like, okay, let him go now? Like
right,
what?
Right. Well, even so, you could just do what everyone else does and just voice over that part.
Yeah.
And then, or just play music over that part, and then, I mean, we're not going to do it, so it doesn't matter. But there's, go watch any other hunting show and you'll see how it's done. But
it's painful.
Or
to watch.
if they don't stage it, then it's horrid, because it'll be like a guy in a tree stand whispering to the camera, and they have to put the words at the bottom, and it's
because all you can hear is.
Or half the episode is them just sitting on their porch chit chatting. Like,
yeah, I know.
Is this adding to
sometimes
something?
You see the boom mic, or they're like, hey, so we passed on that buck right there because it was only a 19 point, and we're looking for even 20s today. Like something that you've never seen in your life. It's like no realism whatsoever. Like no way would you ever see that deer in your home.
Recently, we've pulled out the boom mic just to kind of play with it and have fun with it and just test it out.
Well, it works for cooking, because for cooking we're in a staged environment.
Yeah. But I mean, out in the field, we've been using it there, and Kyle's favorite thing to do whenever he gets his hands on it is just to walk around and shove it in people's face. Hold it up above his head.
Well, he's doing the cliche thing, but
and it's his favorite thing. It's funny every time he does it.
It's like, for people that don't know what a boom mic is, it's a big long stick, and at the end of it is a fluffy, furry microphone, and it records really good sound. But it's funnier to just pump it in people's faces, because the pole's like 20 foot long and you can poke them in the face. And
that's why it coming until it's too late.
Exactly. Yeah. So, on a much more serious topic, although I did think that was pretty interesting, we're going to be talking about, and I try not to stay political, but in this way I couldn't help it. So I'm going political.
Couldn't help.
I couldn't even help it a little bit. You heard me in the turkey blind how mad I was about this.
Yeah.
So, okay. The country of Iceland. Okay, they just came out with a new law as of January 1st, 2018, that it is illegal to pay a woman less than a man for the same job. So companies will now have to obtain a certificate for demonstrating equal pay. And as of last year, the UK pay gap is what they considered as 16.9%. So I'm sorry, Jeff. I'm just gonna go in on it.
I'm very.
I know we're not
curious
supposed to.
How deep this is gonna go, because we could sit and talk about this forever, but
Okay. Well, the good thing is I know that we all agree. So that's the good portion of it. But here's the thing. First and foremost,
for logical reasons, not because we're all men.
Yeah.
To be clear.
Just because we're white men does not mean we agree because of that. So I'd like to...
We do like women.
Ryan said it so pillow talky, like, we do like women.
We do like women.
Oh, gosh. And now we have none listening.
And
So the first part of this, I would like to start off by saying, anybody that pays a woman less than a man for the same work, strictly because she's a woman, is a jerk.
yeah, piece of crap.
Piece of crap. Anybody that pays a man less for the same job, specifically because he's a man,
They're good.
is a jerk.
Oh,
Ryan.
I see.
Oh, you see. Jeez, Ryan.
Heated debate, and we have no idea why.
Like Ryan turns, is bad. So here's the thing. I wanted to start off by saying that. If somebody pays somebody a different amount of money because of their sex, they're a jerk.
Mm-hmm.
But think about that sentence. If somebody pays somebody less or more, let's add that, because they're man or woman, they're an idiot. The problem with this income equality thing, is that all the emphasis is now on whether they are man or woman. You see, if you went to somebody and said, hey, Ryan, you have 22 years experience, so you started when you're like -1 years old. But you have 22 years experience. You went to school for 8 years. You have your master's degree. You have all these extra certifications. And you've been on the job for 22 minus 8 is 14.
Mm-hmm.
So you've been on the job for 14 years. Somebody else has come in with the same degree, but only 1 year experience. That's a female. You guys are doing the exact same job. You have to be paid the same. Mm-hmm. Because she's a woman and you're a man. Now you have all these better certificates and you have so much more experience and stuff, but it's the same job. Sorry. I mean, I can't imagine a situation where, let's say we hired, let's look at it from our business. Or no, let's just switch it around. There's a female now, has 30 years experience. Okay, she's at the top of her, wherever she's at her employment. Let's say she works at New Radio Media. She's at the top of her employment. She's been doing it for 30 years. Okay, 30 years she's there. Someone new comes in who doesn't have any experience with this company, but they have experience in another radio station, but things are done very differently here. But coming in with no experience, they expect to be paid the same amount because he's a man and she's a woman, and they're supposed to be paid exactly the same regardless of certificates for the same position.
Right.
Yeah, no matter how you look at it, it's not right.
The real problem with it is the focus on how somebody should be paid should be on the value of their work, their background, their experience level, their competence, how nice they are at work, how pleasant they are. Because I'll tell you what, Ryan's so pleasant. I would have fired him 2 years ago, but he's so nice that I can't. No, I'm just kidding. But how nice someone is should matter.
Yeah.
How hard somebody works. If they're the first one there and the last one to leave, that's going to change how they're paid.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
This law, the intent was good, but it was not thought out.
Yeah.
Because if you are forcing an employer to pay strictly based on gender, you're doing exactly, you're being counterproductive to what your actual goal was. Because now your whole focus is on gender as opposed to what it is. Now the pay gap was at 16.9%. Go ahead, Ryan.
It takes away, like, in a business, even if you're in the same business on the same team, it's kind of like a dog-eat-dog world where you're all fighting to get to the who can get the promotion, who can do this, who can do that. And when you do that, when you make it all equal across the board, why would I work harder than the next person? We're all going to get paid the same.
Yeah.
No matter what gender you are, it's like, it doesn't matter. We're all going to get paid. I'm getting paid the same.
Yeah.
I have no reason to work harder.
And it's not good for efficiency either. Because if you've got, we'll talk engineers. Ryan and I were talking about this before you came in. Say you've got engineers, and now instead of just taking the best engineers you can find, you have to take 50-50 men and women. Well, in engineering, just because men like engineering more, I'm not going to say better at it, but they're more inclined to it just because that's historically been the case, then you've got 90% male engineers and 10% female engineers. If you have to do 50-50, assuming that within each gender you've got good engineers, you've got bad engineers, you got a whole spectrum. If you have to take 50% from this 90 and 50% from this 10, you're lowering the efficiency of the workforce, because pulling 50% out of that 10, you're going to get more people that are bad at engineering.
Garbage.
Just because of numbers, not because of their gender, not because of anything else like that. Strictly math-based, you're now crippling your workforce because that's a limit
But
that's setting on
that's
yourself.
jumping ahead in a point, though, because the pay gap is 16.9%. So if you were to ask what the explanation is, why is there a pay gap, right? Why are women being paid less? Well, let's talk about that. The thing is, the reason why there's a pay gap is not specifically because it's man versus woman. It's because of the jobs that are chosen. Like Jeff said, engineers are historically men. You're not seeing, so like if you called a plumber, Ryan, what is the likelihood that it would be a female that would show up at your house to be your plumber? Exactly.
Yeah.
An electrician. Okay, now
They tend to be higher. I know quite a few electrician women, actually.
okay, but it's still going to be lopsided like crazy.
Yeah.
Okay, so the point is, there's jobs that are predominantly male, and there's jobs that are predominantly female. That's all there is to it. The outside jobs, the iron work, the people that work in the
Highway
skyscraper,
construction.
highway construction, there are some, like you said, there's always some females, so everyone would
By
be
law.
like, oh, there's some females, of course there is. We're
And that's
talking about
fine.
the overall numbers here. So the overall numbers, I believe that the jobs chosen are different, and that is always going to cause income inequality because you have different jobs.
Right.
Now, to Jeffrey's point, so how do you actually fix income inequality? Forcing everyone to get paid the same for the same job is going to create the problems that you talked about, Ryan. It's also not going to work. It's not going to fix the pay gap, because the only way to fix the pay gap is if 50% of the women, which there's technically more women than men, so the percentages are going to be really messed up. And I think in Iceland,
It's like 51-49. It's not huge.
but I think in Iceland it's substantially wrong. I think you're wrong. I think you're wrong.
In Iceland
I
it's
think you're
different?
wrong overall, and I think you're wrong in Iceland, like double wrong.
I think
Iceland, there's something where there's like a weird amount of women compared to men, I believe. I could be wrong. Ryan, will you look that up?
Yeah.
Jamie, will you look that up? So anyhow, getting back to it though, if you want it to be zero income inequality, that means there has to be at every position 50% men and 50% women, and they have to be paid exactly the same amount of money. So that means 50% of the plumbers now have to be female.
Yeah.
50% because the only way to make sure the numbers are perfect so that there's zero pay gap, income equality, you need to have 50% here, 50% here on every single position, at every single pay, at every single spot across the board. That's the only way to make it true even.
Yeah.
Forcing people to be paid the same, completely obliterating credentials and all of the other important things that factor into true capitalism and free enterprise is not the way to solve this problem.
No.
And
You
the thought is good. Like, of course, if there's a guy out there that is like, oh, I'm going to pay this girl less because she's a woman and she's not a man for the same job, even though she has more qualifications or the same qualifications as this guy, of course he's a horrible person. I 100% agree. And nobody wants the income equality. I want fairness.
Yeah.
But fairness is created out of competition. That's what the United States is based on. Now, luckily, this didn't happen here because that would be horrendous for men and women and for our economy. I don't actually know that we could survive it, but it's a terrible thing to see a good thought not thought out,
Yeah.
like at all.
Well, if you want equality, like Jordan Peterson says, you want equality of opportunity, not enforced equality, because then you have to,
Equality
at
of
that
outcome
case,
is a scary thing.
You have to require that a certain number of women become plumbers. Are you going to force women to become plumbers?
Right.
Like what? No, that's not.
That's what I just thought of. This argument kind of seems loaded. Like, are you comparing? Because most of the largest businesses in the world, the billionaires, it's
The one percenters.
Yes, it's run by men for
Right.
the most part. All men. Are they comparing those people also to, like,
I would assume it's the whole
a woman server at Bob Evans?
Well, the goal of this one, see, that's the income equality in general is measured by what you're just saying. Yes, they're taking into account everybody for income equality, everybody across the board. But in Iceland, this law specifically, its goal is to make each position specific the same income. That's how they think they'll solve what you're talking about. But obviously, you just brought up another point that makes that literally impossible. It just doesn't make sense.
Yeah, I don't.
The math isn't there. It's like, how you have such good intentions. Again, if there was a guy that was being paid less by, like, let's say there was a woman-run company and she was the CEO and she's like, oh, we pay the girls good here, but not the guys. It's like, you're a jerk.
Yeah.
And vice versa.
Either way.
Vice versa. It doesn't even matter. But think out your plan before you, like, because this could create literally I mean, this is going to be really bad for their economy, which is already struggling. You can see why, because they're not making good choices.
I wonder how much this has to do, like, the wage gap. I also wonder how much that has to do with, like, the demeanor of men compared to women. This might make some people upset, but the demeanor...
Jeez, be careful.
I know.
I got through this without probably offending anyone.
We did good, but
I'm probably
it's just
sure
a
not.
thought experiment. The demeanor of men compared to women. Men tend to be a little more abrupt and upfront and...
aggressive. Demand pay raises.
Yes. I wonder how much of that has to do with that. Like, a woman working in an office is like, she doesn't want to confront her boss if she maybe is intimidated by him or her, and they just
maybe
they just deal with it.
Or maybe the culture of the company would hinder her from feeling like she could do that. And that's not... See, every woman is different. So there's some women that would, like, blow us out of the water in 2 seconds, and then there's some that aren't. Now, statistically, if you look at the whole realm of all of the emotions, girls tend to be more passive and less aggressive. Passive and less aggressive than males.
Yeah.
Females, if you grabbed a random female and a random male out of
odds are
60% of the time the male is going to be more aggressive than the female.
Sure.
That's just tough if you don't like that. So that that statistic would play into all of this as well. But the point is, this isn't going to solve it. And I believe, was it Switzerland that was going to do it as well?
I don't remember.
It's a big shame.
Somewhere over there.
The good news is, there was a girl that posted this article on Facebook, and I commented with this explanation and changed her mind.
Oh, you did?
Really?
Yeah. So God
That's
bless her,
awesome.
because that never happens.
So she...
I got sucked in while turkey hunting, and I was like, oh.
That's good. See, and I think more people should be like that. If you're going to post something and you think you have an opinion on it, if someone says something that counters that, read it with an open mind. Because you might learn something, and your eyes might be open.
Especially when statistics are brought in.
Yes.
Statistics and numbers, it's like, if they're real, and these are like, not only are they statistics, they're kind of common sense. So when those are brought in, you can be like, okay, obviously, and I started off like, I don't think anybody should be paid more or less based on their gender. Let's start with that. But how do you actually fix this gap that you're putting? And how big is the gap a problem? Because at 16.9%, is that because 16% of the higher paying jobs, the plumbers, the electricians, the skilled trades, the engineers, well, that's what men want to do, so they just end up making more because that's the position they want, as opposed to, I don't even want to pick a girl position because that would be
sexist.
Like, my first thought was a nurse, but one of our best friends, Scott, is a nurse. But statistically, I believe there's more females than males.
Yeah.
And that's just...
And the problem with that, too, is you look at a lot of the jobs that men do, and a lot of them are more dangerous. They're more, I guess just dangerous. That you should get paid more if your life is at stake while you're doing your job versus if you're a waitress.
I wonder how much of this
regardless
ties
of
into
your gender.
The military.
I was just about to bring that up.
The military, because I know there's females in the military.
Oh, yeah.
100%.
If you're fighting, which actually just a couple years ago, women were allowed to be put on the front lines.
Okay.
So I think it was 2014.
Okay.
It became legal, I guess, to put women on the front lines. And
but how much does the military for Iceland, for the United States, for the pay gaps.
Well, there's not going to be pay gaps as far as that goes, because depending on your ranking is how much you get paid.
But it would affect the overall pay gap percentage, because most of the men are in the military.
I don't
compared
think
to female.
Right, but I don't think that's if you specifically look at.
Right, but that would be a big injection to this percentage. You have to take it into account, because it's every job overall, and here's all the females and all the males, and there's a 16% pay gap. Well, on the male side is going to be a big section of it is going to be military pay. So that's what I'm saying. You just have to take it into consideration.
Yeah, but I mean, where those men are working, they're probably not in the military making as much as a woman who's working back in the States as a server.
So the swing might even be bigger without it, but I am saying it's part of the statistic.
Right, yeah.
It's interesting.
Yeah.
So in another big switch of things, this past week, some of us
successfully made it through that, tthank God.
Yeah, that was...
What do you mean you thought?
As soon as I saw that we were going to talk about the wage gap, I'm like, oh no.
Kyle's going to yell. He's going to start cursing.
We're going to get a lot of views on YouTube and on the new Radio Media app, but we are also going to get a lot of death threats. That's
I cannot wait for our first death threat.
We already got it, buddy. It was on you. Actually, I'm just kidding. It was on AJ. No, I'm just kidding. We all look at the empty seat.
Rest in peace.
Rest in peace. No, he'll be back next week for those of you who miss his hair. All right, let's switch gears here. This past week, some of us, or was it 2 weeks ago? What's the date?
It's the 22nd.
So it's a week and a half
days
ago.
10th?
12 days ago.
12 days ago, we had the opportunity to go fishing with country music superstar Granger Smith. Some of us did. Some of us didn't. Some of us only got to meet him for like 5 minutes and get a picture with him. Boy, I'd kill myself if I was that guy. So, unfortunately, Jeff wasn't able to make it. He had a bunch of family stuff going on. He's getting ready for his trip to go to the UK.
What a nice picture.
But yeah, that is a cool picture. It has everybody that's important in it. See? Jeffrey's not in that picture. I'm just kidding. We had an excellent day. We got to take Granger Smith out fishing with us on the Detroit River, which was cool because it was cool to show him the city of Detroit from a boat. It's cool the most country thing you can really do while into downtown Detroit is go walleye fishing.
Yeah, for sure.
And it's kind of something we do here every single year. There's a big run that goes on here. And you can see that he was actually recording for Yee Life, which is his YouTube channel. So check that out. Also, if you liked my hat, the one I'm wearing today, it is the brand new Yee apparel hat, which is pretty cool. I like all of their stuff, though.
I should have worn mine.
Cool gear.
Which you're actually on their website.
I am on their website for one of their hats. They use my picture.
Yeah.
I didn't even know they were doing that, but that's okay, Parker. Parker's Granger's brother, the one that runs everything. But we had an excellent time. Best part about it, dude, Ryan and I, like, going to pick him up, I was actually nervous. Because you got to understand, Granger Smith is one of the top 5 people in the world that I would want to meet. Literally top 5. You got the president, The Rock, Conor McGregor, Granger Smith, and Joe Rogan. So those are my top 5 people that I want to meet. And I got to meet Granger. And that wasn't in no particular order. I think Granger Smith would be first, so I'm glad to check that one off. But to be able to go out and go fishing with him, but going to pick him up, I was pretty nervous. I was like, I'm not going to be a fanboy. I'm not going to freak out. I'm going to be totally cool.
He was about to be.
That's why I was
about
nervous.
to be. I had to talk him down off this edge. We're sitting outside the Fillmore, outside his tour bus. The guy's about to walk out to meet us for the first time, and Kyle pulls up his phone, starts clicking around. On comes Granger Smith music. I'm like, you cannot. No, you can't do that. You can't. He doesn't want to listen to his own music.
That's all I listen to.
I know it is, but that's not what.
Car. I
right, let's take Granger to work. That's good.
That's literally. I asked him. Well, I didn't say that Kyle turned it on and all that, but I asked him because I was genuinely curious. I was like, "Do you listen to your own music?" And he said, "I listen to it thousands of times before it gets released. So when I do listen to it, it becomes work." And he said, whenever he hears other modern country,
it's work mode.
It's work.
It's like us watching a hunting or fishing show. There's like so many similarities between what we do and he does.
You don't even see the music anymore. It's about what they're doing wrong or what you're doing wrong, what you could be doing better that they're doing. Now, and it's not even, you're not even listening to music anymore. You're
analyzing,
you're producing.
Right. One of the coolest part about him is something that you might not nobody would have picked up on, but this is something that I see.
when you're like, because you're meeting someone, you're watching their movements and stuff like that, how they talk and how they act, because, you know, he is famous. He's so well known. He had the number one, Backroad song was the number one song in the country. He's got an excellent apparel company. He's got Yee Energy. He's got all these, like, YouTube channels. He's just incredible. So I look up to him a lot. So you're like watching him. But when we picked him up, so Ryan rode with me to go pick him up. Obviously, Ryan was in the front seat. So we get out of the truck, say hi and stuff. Obviously, Granger was like, give me a hug. No, I'm just kidding. He wasn't like, he's like, who are you again? The Greenway Outdoor. No, I'm just kidding. He knew who we were. But said hi to him and stuff. We go to get in the car. He went to get in the back seat. Like, he didn't even, like, have an ego to the level.
Get in the back seat right now.
Yeah.
He didn't even have an ego to the level that he would think he would sit in the front seat. He just started getting, I'm like, Granger, you can sit in the front seat, buddy, because Ryan was going to film from the back anyways and stuff. But it was like, that told me a lot about who he truly is, because that's a habit where he was just like, all right, what's the humble position to take? Back seat. Like, he was just nice. That tells you more about him than, because people can fake a lot.
Yeah.
But I just then ended up getting to ride there and have all different conversations with him and spend the day with him and get to know him as a person and ask him all the questions I've always wanted to ask him. And I kind of told him this too, and I went into it a little bit more in depth when it was like one-on-one. But we started the show in 2015. So that was when we started developing the show. That was when we started putting together the idea.
We were filming then.
Yeah, we thought we were filming. But we were in the midst at the time of developing the show, creating the show. I had been watching him for years already. I was a big fan of his for a long time. He's just a really, really cool guy. And by the time that song released and it became number one, we were just starting to get traction on Pursuit Channel. And I remember our first episode had like 30,000 views. Like 30,000 people watched our show, and I was like, wow, that's really cool. And then he took his song to the number one on the Billboard charts. Now, you gotta remember, I was seeing him at the Machine Shop before he really had that many fans.
That's
you know what I mean?
a machine shop somewhere in Flint, Michigan.
Yeah, it's just it's one of his favorite venues still, but it's just a bar. But when I went there to see him and then saw his growth and what he did and saw that he could accomplish what he was working on, basically the same kind of thing that we're working on. Obviously, ours is a TV show, his is music. And seeing him develop into that, I'll never be able to thank him enough for the inspiration it was for us, to us kind of see like our big brother doing exactly what our goals were to do.
Anytime you see someone and it's like, oh my God, they're famous, they do music, it's like, well, they didn't just pick up a guitar and then now they're playing music and they're famous. Like, it takes a lot.
I was thinking about that, and it's pretty admirable that he was able to stick with it that long.
Yeah.
Like, the guy's 40 years old and he started how long ago? Like,
yeah,
he was 19, I think, and he moved to.
Not that. It's awesome. He knew what he wanted to do, and he knew he was going to be successful,
regardless of how many years it took.
Right.
And for that to see, like, to watch him for maybe 3 or 4, and then start our own thing, and then watch him for the next 3 or 4, when he catapulted to the top of the world in country music, it's like, this is awesome.
Yeah.
Like, it's so, to me, to get to see like the person that you'd like listen to their music, listen to their podcast, watch their story, watch their social media, watch their motivation, watch their stuff, watch what they do, and then almost mimic it is just something special for me to get to. Then I'm like picking them up in my truck and riding to go fishing.
That was cool.
Insane. And then spend the time with him. Like I said, we caught some fish, not very many, but of course the bite was on in the morning. Then as soon as we got him out there, it shut off, and we only had a couple hours.
We had to go in the afternoon, which is like the worst time to go.
Right. And then we got to go to the concert that night, which was super cool. And the concert was just awesome.
Yeah,
and I got to introduce my niece to him. She was so excited. Lily, the 6-year-old niece.
She got her hat signed.
Yeah, she got her hat signed.
She got her Greenway Outdoors hat signed, too.
It was so cute. Yeah, I know. And it was funny, too, when she walked up to him, I was like, okay, what did you want to ask him? Because she wanted to ask him to sign the hat, and she wanted to ask to get a picture with him. And he's like, hi, Lily. And he like got on her level, and I go, what are you going to ask him? She goes, you were on the Greenway Outdoors. He goes, yes, I was earlier. And I was like, Lily, that's not what I was. Because it seemed like I was pushing her to say that to him, and that was not the case. I was like, oh, but it's okay. And then
what's your favorite color?
So then she ended up getting her picture with him, but it was so cute because she was real nervous right before she's like biting her fingers and stuff. She was getting really, like, when she saw him, she's like, oh my God. Because like in our family, literally, that's all we listen to is him. So she's like, what is this now? So that was pretty stinking cool. When we come back, we're actually going to be talking about a few different things, including Kenya is implementing the death penalty for poachers in order to put a stop to poaching. Wow. We'll be right back. You're a hunter, and because you hunt, you're the world's greatest conservationist. You're a huntervationist. You do more for wildlife and conservation than anyone. The Sportsman Alliance protects hunters from the animal rights movement. When the Sportsman Alliance gets involved in court cases or legislation, hunters win. Conservation wins. Become a huntervationist today and join the Sportsman Alliance like we did to help protect your rights against the animal rights movement.
Hot Shot Outfitters in Port Hope, Michigan is the destination for white-tailed deer, crow, waterfowl, rabbit, predator, and turkey hunts. We have cabins, over 30,000 non-fenced acres, and a passion for delivering fair chase hunts to you and your family. Reserve your hunt at hotshotoutfitters.com today.
When your hands are busy, your mind gets right. When your hands are busy, you can't point fingers and complain that life isn't fair. When your hands are busy, you're serving your family, your friends, and your community. When your hands are busy, you show everyone what you're capable of. The all-new Ram 1500, Motor Trend's 2019 Truck of the Year.
Hello and welcome back to episode 27 of the podcast. Ryan, I want you to say what you were just saying while we were off there.
Oh, just before this, the commercial was playing for Ram, and I said, look at that TV, and just look what's on it. And you said, what? And I said, it's Ram.
It's so cool.
That's awesome.
We're working together.
It's pretty cool.
We randomly get excited about things like that. And
It
that was
just
one of
now
those
hit him.
moments.
You mean,
oh my gosh, we're sponsored by Ram.
I'm honest to God, Ryan, I tell you, sometimes I wake up and I'm still like, I can't believe this idea that started 4 years ago around a coffee table while listening to Granger Smith panned out to be what it is now. It's pretty cool, man. So, speaking of which, we'll go to our social media comment of the week. So, there's two pics for this one. The picture is of Ryan. So, and I just thought this comment was pretty adorable. So, someone named Frank Zito said, I hope you'll at least have the fan mounted. I'll be happy to chip in for your birthday. Beautiful bird. So that was, who is that to you?
My grandfather.
Your grandfather?
Some guy.
Who is better at Facebook than your dad, by the way.
Yes.
He's better at commenting than his dad. But I thought that was really nice, and that is one heck of a bird. Ryan, you got your first big game animal in Michigan, because turkeys are considered big game.
Mm-hmm.
First big game animal in Michigan, and in a minute, I want you to explain the story and how you felt, because it was awesome.
In 1 minute, you want me to?
1 minute.
Okay.
And go.
Okay, so we were sitting out in this field. We got up early in the morning, around 5 a.m. We'd go out there.
A lot of fluff. No, I'm just kidding.
I gotta
And
set the
45.
scene. And me and Jeff were sitting in the blind, and Jeff was kind of guiding me through it, as I haven't done very much turkey hunting. And we saw some hens floating around the field in front of us, and then finally we started hearing this turkey gobbling, and it comes up over the hill, and on the way other side of the field is Kyle, and it would sit and strut for a little while, and then kept going closer and closer to Kyle and AJ, and
It got to 110 yards from AJ and I.
it looked like it was right, but we were really far away. It looked like it was like right next to you guys.
Yeah.
We thought you were gonna
was-
kill it.
It was like right in between both of us for a good.
And keep in mind,
Yeah.
we were 1,100 yards away. We were safe.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah, no, we were really far away from
Big
each other.
field we were covering.
Yeah.
You had 10 more seconds.
No, I'm just kidding.
And then it saw a hen came into the field on the other side closer to us, and it kind of followed that, did a loop and towards you guys and then back over to us.
He was just following the hen with his tongue out. He's like, hey.
Yeah.
Wherever she went is wherever he was going.
Yep, and she started coming towards us, and we were filming it, and it finally got close enough to where we might be able to shoot it, and I'm getting ready, and Jeff looks at the camera, and he's like, it's full. I'm like, what?
It says the card's full. That's
the
not,
camera.
That's not right,
Yeah.
right?
Oh my gosh. That's not good, I don't think.
Because we wanted to film it, and I'm like, oh no. Like now I'm trying to hunt this turkey, shoot it, and take care of this camera, so I'm sitting there trying to delete.
And this is your first turkey.
Yeah.
You haven't shot a deer yet either. This is your first big game animal.
Yep. And I'm sitting there trying to work this camera and delete it and get things ready on that. I'm like, what can we delete on it? What's not good?
Just the last things.
Yeah,
I don't know.
So I'm sitting there deleting it, and then
Why did we make that stupid video earlier? Day 7 of our deer turkey.
Hey, you know what? We had that. I'm glad that we didn't delete earlier because we had that footage of a deer and a sandhill crane and a turkey all in the same shot, and they're all kind of like, what are you doing over here?
Yeah.
What are you doing over here? You know, like they weren't really interacting, but they were kind of. So it was neat to get that.
Right.
Yeah, I'm glad we didn't delete that. But then, by that time, the turkey had started kind of wandering away, and Jeff was trying to reposition the camera behind me so we could get a shot
All
of that.
I see is the footage, and I'm like, why is he shaking right now?
We're trying to.
There's 87 buttons on that thing. I'm trying to hold it still while
We
he's
should have
trying to-
never had him film.
I know.
I wanted you to get a turkey, though.
I'm grateful I did, and it was a really awesome opportunity. So I started walking away a little bit, and then he's trying to get it in position. I'm like, when should I shoot it? And he's like, next time it turns towards us. And so eventually it just kind of turns towards us a little bit, and I fire, and the thing starts flopping on the ground. And in my mind, it had been like 20 seconds, and then Jeff goes, run. And then I'm scrambling out of this blind as quick
The
as I
reason why Jeff told him to run is because turkeys, like, you'll knock them down and they'll be flapping around. But the real fear is, what if they get up and fly for a little bit or run for a little bit because they're fast? If they got enough in them to do that, then they're harder to find, harder to track. So you run after them to hurry up, grab them by the neck, and wring their neck so that they don't go anywhere. Mm-hmm. But Ryan didn't know that because Jeff had only built them up to. I mean, you go turkey hunting, you don't always expect to get one. So it's like, all right, I'll tell them everything to do right up until you shoot one.
And that's pretty much what. So after like 20 seconds of sitting there and it's flopping around, he says run, and I run after it. I grab it by the neck, and I'm holding it up while it's still flapping its wings because I'm all excited.
He's all
and
he's holding it. I'm like, I didn't tell him what to do at this point.
This thing's kicking him senseless. He's using his spurs on him. Ryan's like.
So we rewatch the footage, and I shoot it, and immediately after I shoot it, Jeff says,
half a
run.
second.
No, it was like half a second.
But it
Jeff
feels
says, run.
like-
And it felt like a lifetime because I was like, I just shot this turkey, and I was so
Adrenaline's
excited
going.
about it.
What was explain what you got your first taste of buck or turkey fever.
Yeah.
So what is that like?
So I was excited after I shot it because it started flopping around, and I knew I had gotten it. And then we're kind of sitting there after it completely died and it was just laying there.
And you feel the little sprinklers of nerves come in.
Yeah. And then we're standing there talking about what else we need to film in the day, and I'm like sitting there and I'm like, okay, it's setting in. I just did that.
Yeah.
Like, this is exciting. This is cool. So it was really fun.
I said to AJ, because him and I were sitting in the blind. Funny he's not here to prove that I said this, but I said, I would be happier if he shot this turkey than myself, because he had never gotten a big game animal.
I don't believe you.
It's on camera. We had it set up where Jeffrey had already got his bird right away. By the way, like the biggest bird ever.
It was a
Pretty
monster.
good size.
And so we wanted Ryan to get it. So I am very, very, very happy for you, Ryan.
It was an awesome opportunity, and I'm glad we got it on film.
Yeah, your boss is awesome. It's
Yeah,
good.
that's true.
So we're going to go ahead and roll our Instagram story video of the week. We'll keep our mics on so we can give you our funny commentary on it. But this was on the turkey hunt and the Granger thing.
So, Granger Smith, are we going to catch all the fish today?
Excuse me, how do you know I'm Granger Smith?
That's
We're not
fishing
gonna catch
camo.
all the fish, we're just gonna catch half of them.
Just half.
He was the second funniest guy in the boat that day besides me.
They're in the live well already.
Pressure's off.
That's right. Granger, what would you say your favorite part about today was?
I mean, besides getting that fish,
Yeah.
that's the best part.
Yeah. Hanging out with Kyle. You
hanging out with Kyle.
you messed it up. What
are you doing, Coach?
Lily, are you so excited to go to the Granger Smith
This was
concert?
before the concert with my 6-year-old niece.
Duper.
I hate that
Are you
kid.
excited because you get to hang out with me or because you get to go to Granger Smith?
That guy over there.
Jeffrey, too? Are you excited to see Jeffrey, too?
Nope.
No?
He's the loser.
What hat do you got on there? Just the loser? What hat do you got on there?
She's such
Is
a
that
cute little kid.
Your
no,
Greenway
she's a
Outdoors
jerk.
hat?
And he's the loser.
I got a question for you.
He's such a bad loser.
Jeff's a bad loser.
Just salt in the
Lily,
wound.
who designed that camouflage in that hat?
Uh,
Yeah, but who was it? What good-looking guy
Sometimes
did
you got to push him along.
this guy right
This guy right
This guy right here.
She forgot the website.
It looked like
TheGreenwayOutdoors.com.
she flipped off the camera.
This is my favorite part of hunting. Turkey blind. But the necessities are there. By the way, you hear Jeff chewing here, not me.
Oh, yeah, I bet.
So I couldn't be more proud right now. You think I'd be more excited for me to get a turkey, but today it's about Ryan, the killer.
Got a nice gobbler. Watched it for about
It was
an
cool.
hour or two.
What? What? Show us the fin, Ryan. How big's
Drop
that
the
beard?
gun,
10
goes
inches?
off.
Gun safety.
It's a big time, dude.
It's awesome.
What'd you think of your first turkey hunt?
It was awesome.
It was 2 hours long and you already got this. Are you too spoiled?
A little bit. A little bit.
What's it like to work for the Greenway Outdoors?
It's awesome.
Keep going.
Go on.
You get
I said it.
You seem to push people in conversation a lot to get them to
Sometimes
say
you got to
what
make sure
want.
they got it right. The last topic that I want to cover is the fact that Kenya is now making poaching penalized with capital punishment. Okay, now this law was passed. They announced a bold proposition to protect its vulnerable wildlife using the death penalty against illegal poachers. Now, according to News 360, lawmakers are aiming to fast-track this and pass the legislation quicker so it goes into effect faster. Now, here's a couple things that I want to talk about. Number one, with poaching. A lot of people know illegal poaching is terrible, and they picture these guys in these suits, like military things, going out and killing everything that's walking and murdering every animal and stuff
Just
like
because.
that. Just because. Now, the tough thing about poaching is the people that are poaching there, not all of them, some of them, are poaching because imagine you're a poor family and you live in Kenya and you just had your farm completely destroyed by 2 elephants in one night, eating your entire crops, everything you have, all your food,
Trampling
everything.
it or whatever the case.
Trampling it and everything like that. What are you going to do now? You don't have any food or money, and your whole thing got trampled by elephants overnight. The only thing you can do is hunt. But if you hunt, you can get killed for that now because you can't get a license because the licenses are sold overseas for top dollar. What do you do in that position? So I just want to, I'm not saying that poaching is right. I just want to say that, like, hey, there's something over here that isn't often talked about because the hunters don't always like to bring up that point because that doesn't fit their side, their narrative. And the other side doesn't like to bring that up because they don't want to talk about a reason to ever kill an animal. So neither side really wants to bring that up. So the problem with that is, as it stands, there are only an estimated 1,000 black rhinos in Kenya, and the elephant population remains around 34,000. So animal advocacy groups Save the Rhino reported that there was at least 23 rhinos and 156 elephants that were killed by poachers in the country between 2016 and 2017 alone. Okay? The current law in Kenya makes it illegal to kill endangered animals in the country. In addition, the 2013 Wildlife Conservation Act also carries a life sentence or $200,000 fine against illegal poachers. Now, that didn't work, so that's why they're instilling the death penalty. So $200,000 in a life sentence wasn't enough. Now, here's the thing. I want poaching to stop. I really, really, really do. And the funds raised by hunters and fishermen and the people that buy the tags to hunt the elephants, to hunt the different things over there, are the only reason why those animals even exist. Okay? Because here's the thing. You'd think if you shoot an elephant, there's less elephants, therefore that's the case. But the science-based conglomerate and the way that they manage this is, if I buy an elephant tag and I go over there, they're going to have an elephant that they want me to kill that is a mature animal. Often it's a male that can't reproduce anymore, but will kill the other males to keep them from reproducing. Okay, so taking him out makes sense for science and growth of the population.
It's directed towards a problem animal.
Exactly. Killing problem animals, paying for those tags, the millions of dollars that are spent on tags help fund anti-poaching efforts and help deal with the communication between the locals, the people that have the people that would have their farm trampled, dealing with them and the problem animals that are they're encountering that maybe trampled their field and stuff like that, and managing those relationships so that they're taken care of. And without those dollars from the hunters for the licenses and stuff, you wouldn't have that. Now, when you look at those numbers, they're not that horrendous on how many were killed. It's really not that high.
It's just because there aren't that many.
Exactly. If there's only 1,000 black rhinos and 23 of them are killed, that's
a big deal.
That's really bad.
That's 2%.
Right.
3%.
So that's the math is for you. So the idea is I have a real hard time getting comfortable with the death penalty for anything. I can get comfortable with it in certain instances, which I'm sure we can all imagine what they are. The problem is $200,000 or life sentence. The people that would get caught for poaching that I'm worried about, they're not going to have $200,000 anyhow.
Yeah, those people aren't. They're either still doing it because they're either horrible criminals, or it's because it's not about money. It's literally choosing between you're going to die if you don't eat, so you hunt this animal, or
right. So the idea is there's always more to the story. But when you look at the big picture and you know that hunters pay for the licenses that support the anti-poaching, that support everything that has to do with the government stepping in to help these things and manage the populations, target the problem animals, stop the poachers, if you get rid of our licenses and you get rid of those funds, then all of the anti-poaching efforts go away, all of the science goes away, all of those things go away, and then what are you going to be left with? Because ask Botswana, because they did it with lions, and that didn't go so well. So that's my little update on that. It'll be interesting to see how that's fast-tracked and to see if it's ever enforced. Because the death penalty over an animal is a scary thing. So thank you so much for tuning in to the Green Outdoors. Go to our Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube pages. If you are listening to this on Spotify, iTunes, you can listen to us on the NRM Streams app live Wednesdays at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, or go to our YouTube page after it's posted and you can watch it there. Thanks so much for tuning in. Stay green.